Hi everyone, a really warm welcome to my channel, or a very warm welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about early red flags in narcissistic relationships, as I've had quite a few viewer requests for this. And next week I'm going to make another video about how you can make yourself love bomb proof, as this is also another request, so you aren't sucked into the decaying world of yet another narcissist, because it is common for a person that's had one narcissistic relationship to find themselves then exposed to more. So I'm going to share my thoughts about how you can limit that. And if you have a question that you'd like covered, then please do write to me. And if I think that I can answer it, then I'm going to make it. But today we're going to be focusing our attention on the red flags to really look out for when we meet new people. And this applies for all contexts, but especially true in romantic relationships. And why it's especially true in romantic relationships is because romance and sexuality involves a lot of chemical release. And when we get these chemical floods, we ignore all kinds of red flags. Yet, if you have been flawed by a narcissistic relationship, and I mean really flawed, you're going to be far less inclined to be carried away by attraction. But narcissists and psychopaths, they can catch us off guard in our weakest moments. So we all, no matter what stage of the healing, we need to stay aware. And just before I get into the red flags, I want to take the opportunity to thank everybody at home for your support. I've said it before, and I'll say it many times. It means the world to me. YouTube creation, especially when you're solo, it's a lonely life. And I don't do the channel to satisfy myself because it's hard work. I do these podcasts and the comedy for you. So thank you for helping me with your support of my channel, and also for your generous donations. I appreciate everything, and I love that you're all here. Thank you. So let's talk about red flags, and I've got 5 of them that I want to go over today. So the very first red flag, and if I could go back in time, I really wished I'd known this then, is victimhood. At the very start, this can be really difficult to spot, but as a little bit of time goes by, listen out for the narcissist stories, particularly about their past. What's written in their history from their narrative. Now bear in mind that playing the victim is something that narcissists and psychopaths do because it gains them a lot of supply, and it's also the perfect manipulation ploy that especially works on the highly kind and empathetic. It may even bag them an empath. And the victimhood also creates an image of false vulnerability that hides the danger and the predator that they are. Now, I remember hearing a lot of victim stories that were very cleverly woven into conversation. They're clever. They don't always say, I have been a victim. But everything that they tell you will be how they were the very kind one, the honorable one in the past, how they gave a lot to people, but they were totally taken advantage of. Their kindness was their weakness. They just met bad people that used and abused them. That will be their narrative. Sometimes you may even hear really abusive stories that make your hair stand on end. I mean, it places the narcissist as the victim of abuse. And who's to say if half of that or all of that or none of that is true or not? We won't know. But as we know narcissists better and how abusive and dangerous they are, we can imagine that the stories that they tell us didn't happen quite as they told them. They'll make sure that every story, of course, puts them in a positive light. It's likely that the other person was actually the victim, or the narcissist themselves at least played a large part of whatever happened in that story. Now, the victim stories are not only narratives from the past, but the narcissist is always pleading their victimhood. And a covert narcissist, or as others prefer to call a fragile narcissist, they can genuinely feel victimized by the world. And that's because, remember, they feel so entitled to special treatment. And when life doesn't reflect that, and it shows them that they're just like everybody else, their grandiosity will be wounded most of the time. So this for them makes them a victim. When they can't get on in life, in their career, for example, due to the fact that they just expect to be given a higher position without doing the work, they're the victim. The people at work are keeping them down. You know, the people at work are jealous of how great they are. When they can't find love, because all of their relationships, as we know, are based on deceit and destruction, it's because they keep finding the wrong person. They keep finding the wrong person and they give everything to them and it's a waste of their time because their ex-partner is just awful. Whatever situation they find themselves in life, they will always have reasons for it outside of them. It's never their problem. Narcissists use these victim stories to get help from others and as the basis of their relationships. They will cleverly make you feel like you need to help them. And look, of course, there are real victims and survivors in the world that have been through terrible things. Not many victims, as I found, come forward or even ask for help. They often need to be encouraged to seek help. They're not usually like narcissists that are unashamedly, publicizing to everyone with a speakerphone and violins that they're a victim of life and circumstance. And from what I've actually personally encountered, when things have happened in the past to people that have been really horrendous, it is those that I've found that have been through the most in life that really go on to turn it around and become the most inspiring people. Real victims very, very rarely claim victimhood, even though they have every right to. I'm bringing this to your attention because when there is always victimhood and there's never any personal ownership, and the stories are always blaming somebody else, it's a huge red flag. Now, like I said, narcissists will use victimhood because it serves their purpose on multiple levels. Not only can it give them supply, but they can get a whole ton of services from people. Plus, like I said, it puts them in a vulnerable light, which then disguises their true intentions. Now, also remember that narcissists always expect someone else to help them. They're really, really immature. All of the weight needs to be carried by somebody else. You'll be expected to sort out all of their problems and pick up all of the slack because they won't take responsibility for it. And the worst thing is, no matter how much you help them, they'll never appreciate it. They just expect more and more. Narcissists just play people for absolute fools. Now, the number 2 red flag, particularly true in relationships and friendships, is your friends, especially your close friends that know you, don't like them. They may even give you warnings. Now, I got a pretty serious warning from one friend. I actually got more than one. And she is a very intuitive and older person, and she got the narcissist number immediately. She said to me, they're a user, and when they finish using you, they're going to go on to somebody else. I didn't dismiss her. I listened to her advice. And the reason that I didn't cut her dead in her tracks was because, even though I would not admit it to myself or to anybody else at the time, I kind of believed what she was saying. I hoped that she was wrong, but unfortunately she got it right. And it only took her less than 10 minutes to figure it out. So I say, if you got a friend that knows you well and also is very intuitive, then listen to what they have to say. Number 3, your relationship will run from 0 to 100 in 5 seconds. It doesn't matter if it's a romantic relationship or if it's friendship. If the narcissist has their sights on you as a potential new supply source, then they rush the getting to know you part and they seem to go all in immediately. I was told that I was the soulmate that they've been waiting for in a text message the morning after the night before that was our first date. So you can see it's kind of rushed. And this also applies for friendships because it can feel unnaturally close, because it is. There isn't a natural process of getting to know each other over a period of time. And this is how real relationships are actually formed and developed. Slow and steady, wins the race. Yeah, sometimes people do fall in love very fast. But even if this is so on the rare occasion and it actually lasts, then the relationship develops deeper and deeper and closer over time. The first part is pretty superficial because it takes a long time to really get to know somebody. But narcissists, they want a quick fix, a fast hit. They're not looking for a real sustainable relationship. They're just needing supply. And when they find someone that could potentially be a source of this, and you're shiny and you're new, it's like them getting a new toy. And they just want to be with you all of the time. And they go all in immediately. And if you've never been through this before, it can feel romantically intoxicating because the narcissist is usually very seductive and quite often romantic, and they know how to woo and seduce. And the attention that you get, like you can be called 20 times per day. Although being called 20 times a day is a little bit overpowering, You tell yourself it's kind of cute because they're so into you. That's actually a huge flag. You got to ask yourself, why does this feel so rushed? It's actually worrying. I don't look upon this anymore as romantic. This is a sign that they don't have boundaries, and no boundaries can feel like they want to merge. And romantically, this can be attractive at first. But once you've been through one narcissistic relationship, I doubt you're going to find it attractive again. You'll like boundaries, but the narcissist wants to merge because they want access to your energy, and they'll try to trespass upon you if you don't allow them that access. Narcissists need you not to have boundaries. They actually have malevolent intent. The truth is, they want supply from you. They want to feed off of you. They're not interested in you. Unfortunately, we find that out later on down the road. Number 4, their actions and their words don't match up. There will be many things that they say and that they do that just doesn't add up. And it's going to make you confused. For example, in my case, they may tell you that you're their soulmate and how much they miss you after 20 minutes of being apart, and then they call you 15 times a day, and then they say that they have a friend or family member visiting, and all of a sudden, they literally disappear for days and days without so much of a phone call or a message. And it's really weird behavior. It just doesn't make any sense. Looking back, though, in hindsight, it shows how they're very much living in the moment. Whoever's in front of them, there's no object constancy. So if they're getting supply elsewhere, they're not even thinking about you. You see, you imagine that they're sincere when they say all the things that they say, like the soulmate stuff or the missing you or caring about you. But then when the behavior doesn't match the words, it means that the words were not really authentic. And another example that you might be told, I know somebody that was, the narcissist might turn around to you and say that they really struggle having sexual contact with new people. And then a few days after or a few weeks after, when they have forgotten what they said, they then admit that they used to visit swingers clubs. That hardly sounds like somebody that struggles with sexual contact, does it? And this 4th point is so important because you can say whatever you want. Words really mean nothing unless they're backed up with action. And if you really want to know how somebody feels about you, look at what they do. Don't pay any attention to what they say, because words can lie, but behavior does not. Number 5, and this is a big one, you're going to get a niggling feeling about them. And what do I mean by niggling? You may be really attracted to them if it's, a romantic relationship. But no matter what, when it comes to them, there's a gray area where you're just not sure about who they are. And because it all moves so quickly, you got a lot of questions inside of yourself. Like, do they really care as much as they say? Do they really love me as they say? Whatever it is, you just won't feel safe and secure with the narcissist, because somewhere inside of you is actually telling you to be careful. Now, when we meet the narcissist, we are having, although we won't know at the time, a very superficial interaction because we're interacting with the mask. And because it's a mask, and it's only a mask, something will feel missing, like we can't quite put our finger on it, but you just can't get a feeling for the person within them. For anybody that has been with a narcissist, you're going to know exactly what I mean. Because for most people, when you meet them, you can get a sense of who they are, an idea of the inner person, the inner being. You just feel it. And this feeling, whether you like them or not, has a certain comfort about it because you feel who they are. And it's something I think that we take for granted because we imagine that everyone is like that. But when you meet a narcissist or a sociopath, psychopath, it's different. And this can only be described on feeling. I believe you can feel their energy disturbance between what they're revealing and what they're concealing. And you will always have this niggling feeling within you, the depths of you. Even if the narcissist is so enjoyable to be around, because often they are, there's something really disconcerting when we can't get to the truth of somebody's core being. And if you've never known a narcissist, you're not going to know what I'm talking about. But when we meet a narcissist, we have to be able to connect with our intuition, with our feelings. Because people with MPD, they might also have crossovers of BPD or psychopathy or everything. There'll be so many things with them that just doesn't add up. And when things don't add up, or they do add up perfectly well, and we say, no, it can't be. 1 + 1 can't be 2. I mean, reason tells me it's 2, but with that person, it just can't be 2 because they're so nice. We need to pay attention to this niggling feeling that we have about them, because that's your gut. That's your intuition. Those niggles that you get is when there's a red flag. Your intuition will always try to steer you away from danger. But it's just that the truth isn't always something that we want to hear. With a healthy person that's safe, secure, kind, that's not evil, you're not going to get those niggles. You know, there's going to be a certain amount of comfort that you will feel around those individuals because your intuition doesn't have to warn you because there's no danger. But, you know, you feel uneasy with a narcissist because you're going against your intuition. It's like you're racing in your car and you're driving straight forward and someone's in the back seat and they're screaming that you're about to drive over a cliff edge. And what you do, you turn up the music and you drown them out. And I believe that once you've done this once and you've paid the price of going against your inner voice and your intuition, you've had the consequences of what happens when we ignore the flags. We don't ever want to ignore our intuition ever again. And that's why connecting with yourself on a deeper level after a narcissistic relationship is so important. So that's what I wanted to say today. So please don't forget to like this video, share, and comment your thoughts down below and let me know what you think about these 5 red flags. If you have any more to add, then please, you're very welcome to do so. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you again next time.